This has Jets fans fired up as they are meeting with a future NFL superstar who would be an absolutely perfect fit with the team and for Darren, Mougey, and Aaron Glenn's defense, picking him over the consensus guy who most expect the Jets to be drafting, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. And if you're part of that 70% that's not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Jets Digest. We are so close to 5K. You guys have been killing it recently. Let's get there and get it done. But until then, we are going to talk about some football, specifically Darren Mougey, his draft plans, and how they are mainly impacted by this guy right here, Mason Graham, one of the top defensive players, one of the top players in this NFL draft, one of the elite talents, one of the best prospects here. And it was revealed that the New York Jets and Michigan defensive lineman Mason Graham, one of this draft's elite prospects, are having a visit tomorrow where Graham is visiting the Jets. New York has spent a considerable amount of time with Graham, including a formal interview at the draft combine, dinner before his pro day, and now the top 30 visit. So obviously this seems like the Jets are interested, and the Jet press reported that it sure feels like Mason Graham is the Jets pick if he makes the 7, which is far from a guarantee. And there is a bit of a question about the fit because he's a 3-tech defensive tackle, and that's what Quinnen Williams does, or that's at least according to the Jet press, while Matt makes a face trying to look into that. But it would be interesting. I don't question the fit at all. The Jets need a defensive tackle. Mason Graham is the best defensive tackle in the draft. One of those guys who it feels like is a surefire star.
Yeah, so the 3-tech is definitely going to be lining up outside the guard's shoulder. But Chris, if you follow football, you might understand that there are 2 guards. So we can have 2 3-techs at the same time. But even if you're not going to play Mason Graham as a 3-tech, he is someone who can line up at any position on the defensive line. I really think he could play defensive end if he really had to. Would he be as good as Will McDonald or Jermaine Johnson? Obviously not, but I think he could do it if you needed him to do it. And he'd be a better run stopper than those guys. So if we are able to select Mason Graham in the draft and maybe the other teams trying to run the clock out on us, we could put him out there too. But the chances of Mason Graham being available with the New York Jets selection at 7 overall is almost 100% impossible. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars picking at the 9th overall pick need him real bad. So they are probably he is not going to be making it past them. And that's if he makes it past the Patriots at 4. And even some of the teams in the top 3 could use more run support and might be looking into an elite defensive tackle prospect like a Mason Graham. It's funny that, Mason Graham is being linked to the Jets because watching him, he does remind me a lot of Quinnen Williams. He's that interior presence who is a really good run stuffer, but at the same time, he's not purely a run stuffer. He's that rare defensive tackle who could also rush the quarterback. So think about like Quinnen Williams, Chris Jones, those types of guys are the top level, the ceiling outcome for a player like Mason Graham. And even though we do have Quinnen Williams, we already have that elite defensive tackle that we're looking for to anchor that positional group. I do think adding Mason Graham would be a home run. I am a big believer in you draft the best prospect available, and Mason Graham would easily be the best prospect available for the New York Jets at 7, assuming Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter aren't there, as he is my 3rd ranked player on my big board, which is not a hot take, not something that I think a whole lot of draft analysts would disagree with. Mason Graham has been one of the top prospects throughout this entire NFL draft cycle, someone who analysts, experts, and even casuals are all expecting to hear his name being called very early on in the NFL draft, night 1. I hope the New York Jets are lucky enough to be able to get their hands on a guy like this. Like I said, he can do a whole lot of different things, and the number one thing he's going to do is help us out with that tackling problem that plagued the New York Jets all of last season. It felt like we couldn't tackle anyone, couldn't get off the field on 3rd down, and all the good teams were just able to run the football at will on the New York Jets defense. That needs to come to a stop this year if this team's going to be successful at all. It doesn't matter that you have Sauce Gardner and the rest of our great secondary if the other team never even has to throw the football. If they can just run the football, they're going to keep running the ball, keep moving the chains, and keep chewing up the clock. You can't win games if you don't have the football in your offense's hands, and you're not going to get the football back if you're not forcing punts, forcing turnovers. That's something Mason Graham is going to be able to do. Both of those things. He's going to force fumbles from the quarterback. He's going to be able to tip passes to allow our cornerbacks, our safeties to make plays on those tip balls. And I think he would be one of the best fits in the entire draft for the New York Jets, should he be available with that 7th overall pick.
Yeah, so obviously you're right. It's hard to imagine the Jaguars not taking him. I do wonder, because of, they had the recent investment at 1st overall with a defensive lineman. The defensive line isn't great. They have talent on it, but it's still not great. Is there any chance you could see them passing up on Mason Graham? Or
if he's there, he would be far and away the best prospect there. So unless they are in love with Shedeur Sanders, who's there, Jackson Dart, who would be there, or Jalen Milroe, or Tyler Shuck, I guess, they would go ahead and definitely select him if he was available.
Yeah, Mason Graham, absolutely phenomenal player. For those watching this and not just listening to it, you could see right now just him blowing guys up behind the line, as we do have a highlight video going, because frankly, the man is chasing quarterbacks down. He's blowing up blocks like there's no tomorrow. Truly just one of the best talents in this draft class entirely. And as anyone who's a Jets fan, knowing that they had that huge issue on the defensive tackle spot, this also solidifies an elite group of defensive tackles, or an elite duo of defensive tackles between Quinnen Williams and Mason Graham for the foreseeable future. And you have a very young, exciting defensive line, also considering Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald as well on this team. It would make for just a truly very exciting group on that line. I would love to see it personally. It is hard to imagine the Jets will get the opportunity to select Graham, but it is very clear that he would be the best prospect available for the Jets at 7th. How did I mess up available? But I did it anyway. Look, obviously, it would be tough to imagine. The Jets have, Darren Mougey's mentioned that they're interested in trading up or trading down. Him just doing his due diligence, giving the correct answer to the question. You're not going to say, no, we're not doing this. So it'll be interesting to see for sure how that works out. Obviously, other prospects as well are on this list. But when it comes down to it, you look at the guys on the front line of the defense. So Abdul Carter, who it would be a shock to see him get to the Jets. Then there's also Mason Graham, who's usually ranked right after him on your big board. You said the same thing, at least when it comes to guys on the defensive line. And then the next guy predicted to be taken would be Jalen Walker, who's an edge rusher with the Jets. If the Jets want to go at that position, they definitely could look towards Walker and maybe make someone into the defensive tackle. It'd be interesting.
That would be interesting if they went with Jalen Walker. He's the prospect that people are now comparing to Micah Parsons, because it used to be Abdul Carter was getting the Micah Parsons comp, but he's actually turned into such a good prospect after that last season at Penn State that you don't compare him to Micah Parsons as like the ceiling comp, because he's a much better version of Micah Parsons coming out of school. The college Micah Parsons, he was drafted 11th overall. Abdul Carter, there was no draft class where you could ever fall that far in the draft. So now people are turning to Jalen Walker, and then they're comping him to Micah Parsons as well. And it's not a lazy comp. It works out really, really well. Of course, he's another like tweener between a linebacker and a pass rusher, who I think, watching him going into the 2024 season, I was trying my hardest to watch Quinnen Williams' tape, but Jalen Walker just every single play turned the play into a highlight for himself. And I honestly just shut it off and started looking up at Jalen Walker instead, because the guy was that dynamic. He moves differently from everyone else. The dude is extremely explosive. You can tell he's a phenomenal athlete. The pass rushing skills they're not amazing, but most of these high-end pass rushers in the NFL draft, you draft them based on their traits, like their athleticism, how long their arms are, and how fast they are, instead of actually how good the pass rushing moves are, because the idea is you want to draft the traits and then teach them how to be a pass rusher at a high level. And that's what the plan would be with Jalen Walker. So as much as I don't think that position of edge rusher / linebacker should be a priority for the New York Jets in the top 10, if they want to go ahead and take a edge rusher, I would be all the way on board for Jalen Walker. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, so do I. I think it'd be an interesting addition to the team. I still imagine the Jets are going to go Armand Demembo. He feels like the front runner still. Look, if Mason Graham were for some reason on the board, the Jets are going to take him. If Abdul Carter for some reason is on the board, the Jets are going to take him. Are either of those guys going to be on the board? Most likely not. The same way that my GOAT, Paige Buchers, is no longer on the board because now she's in Dallas. So Dallas, here we come. But Matt, any other thoughts?
None.
None. He has no thoughts because yesterday was his birthday. So say happy birthday to Matt. I got it a day late because his birthday's not on Snapchat, so I can't double check, and then I get scared. I do that with multiple people as well, but usually good with birthdays. So this is my public apology. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Get us to 5,000 subscribers for Matt's birthday. Get us to 25 million subscribers for Matt's birthday as of tomorrow, guys. That'd be pretty cool. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and go Jets. Subscribe right now. You watch it. Why are you staring at me? Subscribe. Dude, it's right there. Do it.